Okay, well, since I've been watching Transformers, um, and I saw the movie, I might as well talk to you about it because this was a key movie for my childhood. That and Mortal Kombat, the original '95 Mortal Kombat, were probably massive movies for me. Monster Squad, that was another big one because I saw these in the actual theater. Watching After watching the TV show as a kid and this coming out on being on the big screen what kid wouldn't go bananas for this movie at the time? And a kick-ass rock soundtrack, Stan Bush's famous "The Touch," and there are going to be spoilers in this review. Just by the way, fantastic soundtrack there and an awesome movie. And I'm not going to go just on Prime's death here. I'm going to go through awesome moments throughout. Okay. So, right off the bat, the animation pretty much is like season one, I found. There were moments throughout that were like obviously with introducing like the Quintessons, the Sharkticon scene, and Unicron himself, which was phenomenally drawn. An amazing animation in itself, just as the planet form. And obviously, you have like quite a bit of deaths in this film of main characters. Uh, and Galvatron when he first appears, and Starscream's demise. All that in animation is phenomenal in this film. Um, Works really well. The voice acting. You have Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron, which worked. Spock as a villain? No! Judd Nelson as Hot Rod. Orson Welles as Unicron. Whoa, what a voice. What a voice. And it was awesome to hear. Even in Starscream's Ghost episode later in season 3, when he came back, that was pretty damn cool. And Megatron, of course, with their voice actors who have done their voices for a long time. Uh, you know, Great, amazing. You know, uh, there isn't much more to say about the animation voice acting. It all works here. Now, the character deaths were crazy. The Autobots got so wrecked, and it's kind of like weird because even with some of the Decepticons that were dead or damaged beyond repair, they get resurrected as like by Unicron, and it's not fair. Like favorites of mine, the old Autobots that get killed off are like, hey, come on, man. So you're never gonna see Ironhide again. You're never gonna see Brawn again. Like Wheeljack, you see, you don't see him die, but you see him dead. Uh, you see Gears dead. Um, Funny enough, the Ultra Magnus here, he's a brand new character that gets introduced, which actually thought was going to be Prime 2, but he wasn't. It would have been interesting if Prime got resurrected as Ultra Magnus. That would have been interesting, but it was not meant to happen. Ultra Magnus actually gets blown apart in one sequence, but he gets put back together. So there were a lot of like crazy deaths. But I have to say, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the Optimus Prime death. I mean, I mentioned that a bunch of times, so we're not going to go there. But I still think, while that one was impactful for sure, I think Starscream's death from the hands of Galvatron was insane and still is insane. And I clap every time it happens because Starscream was such a bonehead to Megatron trying to take over the Decepticons that I am so shocked that Megatron didn't smoke him a long time ago. And here in the movie, Starscream finally gets his comeuppance. and it's fantastic. One shot from Galvatron's transform gun mode, and disintegrates into dust. And I love the line where Starscream has the crown on his head, and he's like, "Who interrupts my coronation?" And then Galvatron lands right, and he goes, "Coronation, Starscream, this is bad comedy." And then Starscream goes, "Megatron, is that you?" And then Galvatron responds, "Here's a hint," and he transforms into his gun mode. I love that scene. That is such a wicked scene, man. Um, Galvatron, or not, sorry, Unicron, when he transforms into his robot mode and claws Cybertron. I mean, even just seeing Unicron transform in his large robot mode is crazy. The opening sequence where Unicron, you see him floating in space and you don't know who that is, and then he starts attacking the one planet, and then you hear the word, "It's Unicron," and obviously that's his name. But it's this eating planet. It's Galactus. It really is a Galactus character. They stole it from Marvel, I swear. Um, yeah, the Quintesson scene where they show up for the very first time is so cool. Where reached a verdict and then the head switches over innocent. It's fantastic. They were so cool to be introduced. Unfortunately, they weren't as cool in season 3 and kind of wussy about it, but whatever. The Sharkticons, when that one robot's dropped in the Sharkticon tank and the Sharkticons just tear them up. Um, that sequence where in Unicron, where the robots are being dropped into this like lava stuff and it incinerates some of the robots that are dropped into it, is pretty insane. Like, there's a lot of violence in this movie, like compared to the show where it's like, characters get shot, but there's not really it's kind of like a GI Joe where like the planes get shot down and the guys eject. Like, there's no death. There's no. There were very few sequences in the Transformers show where like actual damage or sickness or came up. I mean, there were episodes that it did, and those were very interesting, like the Cosmic Rust episode where Megatron gets infected by this cosmic rust, and he kidnaps Perceptor, the telescope guy, and look at him, and he's all covered in this rust, things like that. It was really cool. But this movie has so many wicked moments in it. The soundtrack goes along with that, like where Megatron early on busts in the Autobot ship and smokes all the Autobots in there, Ironhide, Ratchet, Brawn, Prowl. Like, he rips through the ships there, and he's like, "Die, Autobots!" And he transforms, and that song comes on, Instruments of Destruction by NRG. Like, oh my god, this movie's so cool and still is very cool to me. Um, yeah, I cheer for the bad guys. What are you gonna do? Um, Overall, after all these years, I still don't forgive Hot Rod for the Optimus Prime death, but we'll leave it at that. Um, but that aside, it is still a very good movie, very well voice acted. Animation is really good. A lot of awesome moments throughout, both on the Autobot side and the Decepticon side. Uh, and it did set up a very interesting season 3, which unfortunately was, I gotta say, the weakest of the three. I would rank the seasons in their order. Season 1 the best, season 3 the weakest, in my opinion. Um, so I get that it was setting up new toys, so it had to kind of depart with the older toys, older characters. So kill them off. And then you have new ones like RC and Springer and Wheelie and Blur. Blur was annoying and still is. Talking really fast. He was a Micro Machine talker. For those that know Micro Machines, there was an old '80s commercial with there were like little cars, and the narrator would be talking really fast. So Blur reminded me of that narrator there. So, but yeah, awesome movie. Like, if you're a Transformers fan, watch this. It might get you to watch the show, the old animated show, maybe. Um, while there were like shows that followed this G1 set of Transformers episode and movies or seasons, um, they were the best. They were what set up things forward, which is why the live movies pissed me off. Um, didn't feel that any of them. I watched the first three, and I didn't feel that any of them were even come close to the feeling of the Transformers show, in my opinion. While they had Optimus Prime and Megatron voiced by the same voice actors, which was cool, it just didn't feel like it was anything of Transformers. It could have been called Robots and it'd be its own thing, but it didn't feel like Transformers for me. I will say that the Bumblebee live movie was probably the best live one they've come out with because it felt like it was kind of more closer to the feeling of Transformers. I know it sounds maybe weird to y'all, but it's just my personal thoughts on it. But anyway, I've gushed over this movie enough. It still stands for me as a classic, and all the awesomeness that it brought, still awesome. And you know, we're probably never going to get a Transformers cartoon movie of this quality ever again. Uh, this kind of animation, which I think works more than any animation type. Like um Transformers 1, which was more CG animation. I'd rather have the drawn animation style that they used to have with than CG animation is fine, but it just doesn't compare, in my opinion, to the old drawn style like Batman animated series or Transformers or Thundercats, because animators worked really hard at that too and had to draw everything out and stuff, which I respect more than just putting characters on a computer and calling it a day. I'm not saying that all computer animation sucks. I'm not saying that because there's lots of really good stuff. It's just I prefer the more animated old style in a cartoon movie like this caliber, this size, magnitude than what's come out today. So that's my review on Transformers the movie. One of the best classic childhood memory movies in my old age at this point. And it's on YouTube. So watch it on YouTube. It's free, uh, you know, and worth it. So I would say even worth owning on Blu-ray. Uh, if you are a collector, definitely worth that. So see ya.